Full disclosure, I get to be very vulnerable today because I haven't done a topic like this with her. How do you improve your married life? Vicki, you get to help out with this one today. Because I'm always spouting off about these 9 principles. Let's go there first. Could we do that? It's not magic. It's not luck. Vicki and I have the best marriage that I know of. I hope it's the best one you know of, too.
It is.
That's why I'm being vulnerable here today. It's not magic. It's not luck. There are certain principles that have allowed us to establish and maintain a really healthy relationship over these years.
You know, I wanted to just back up one little thing. We talk about maintaining a healthy marriage. You know, you got together for some reason, right? And everybody started out usually together for some reason that usually has a lot of emotion and feelings and things like that. But in marriage, we're talking about what are we going to create from here forward as a couple. And so that is best done on principle.
Right.
When you base that creation on principles.
Now, one of those principles is love.
Right. And you usually started with that one. That's where you started with
All you need is love. Right? I'm breaking into song. I'm not sure that that's completely true.
No, you need a lot more than that.
I think love is important, and we define love as a choice, not necessarily a feeling. And Vicki, you shared something about love recently that really impacted me. Can you share that?
I think we get to think about love sometimes to serve us better. We think about it as a declaration. So when I say, I love you, it's expressing my emotion for you, but it might also be expressing my declaration that I will always act in a loving way towards you.
So in addition to the feeling that we typically describe as love, it's also an intention and an expression of commitment.
Right.
And a choice. I had a couple in my office where she slipped out to go to the bathroom, and while she was out, he said to me, "Doc, I just don't love her anymore." And you can imagine how I responded to that. I'm like, well, then love her, duh. Like, what are you waiting for? Some feeling to hit you from the clear blue sky?
Yeah.
Or is this a commitment, a declaration? I love the way that you put that. So that's only one of the 9. As a quick recap of the 9, we start with positivity. And there's a lot of reasons why that works in a marriage. We'll come to some of those here in just a minute. Having a shared set of values is important. The reasons why you got together in the first place. Humility and the willingness to change is the third of those 9 principles.
Not only change yourself, but allow other people to change. Allow your spouse to change.
Yes, which leads into the next one, which is forgiveness.
Right. So we have to allow other people to change.
You know what? I heard a really cool definition of forgiveness recently where it's giving up your demand for a better past.
Right. Yeah.
Don't you love that? Because sometimes we hold those past things against each other and we beat each other up for it. So that's forgiveness. Respect, love, which we already talked about, compassion, which denotes also the willingness to suffer, to put up with the hard stuff. You know, some couples at the altar, they say for better or for worse, when really they meant for better.
When it gets worse, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here. If this gets tough, I'm done. Didn't sign up for this. Well, you kind of did.
Yeah, you did. And so it's compassionate. You need to be compassionate.
And then the last 2, work. Good old-fashioned hard work. And then finally, wholesome recreational activities. And there's 3 words there for a reason. Okay? We've been to Vegas. You know that there are some things that are recreational but not wholesome. And then we also live in a very conservative religious community. Some people delete that second word, recreational.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wholesome activities. Like, come on, people, lighten up. We got to have some fun.
Right.
We'll come back to that one, too.
Another tip that's kind of hard to hear is stop expecting your spouse to improve the marriage.
Oh,
so hard.
really?
Yeah. But you know, I only control me. I am the only person that I can change behavior, change thought patterns, which are then going to change my feelings, which changes the way I react and stuff. So really, I have to start with me. And I get to be the one that improves my marriage.
Honestly, isn't that hard enough to change yourself?
Yeah.
But it's impossible to change someone else.
And if you're waiting for somebody else to take the first step, because I don't know, for whatever reason, you don't want to be the first one, you don't want to look a fool, you don't want to put out more effort than someone else, really examine your thoughts on that, because really, you're the one that gets to start. So stop waiting for somebody else, for your spouse to improve the marriage.
Vicki, this is the hardest thing that I ask couples to do. When I'm coaching couples, I share with them it's a 95-5 thing. You have to assume that this is 95% my responsibility and expect about 5% from your spouse. Honestly, anybody with a pulse can do 5%.
Right.
So that means your spouse is already doing enough. Change your mind around to, if this is going to improve, it's up to me. Got it? Here's another thing that I've noticed from the couples that I've worked with over the years. It's really easy when you're feeling like things could be better. And honestly, when is that going to stop being true?
Yeah, they could always be better.
We have the best marriage I know of. Could it be better?
You bet.
You're right. It could. Always. So, it's easy to approach a marriage issue, a marriage problem that you want to work on with a mindset of this isn't good and we need to change something. Lead with gratitude. Start with appreciation. This is magical. And there's some power there psychologically that puts you on a whole different footing. Picture a couple on the couch in my office, okay? And he's saying, "What? I thought things were really good." And she's saying, "No, we got to change this and got to change that." Now he's feeling criticized.
You bet.
He's feeling like he can't do anything right. What if she were to lead with, "This is awesome. This is so good. My life is better because you're in it." Now how's he feeling?
Right. And if you can't quite get that far, you can at least say, here are the things that I appreciate. Here are the things that
Start with
I
gratitude.
like that are good. And here's what I'd like to improve.
That's the positivity that we mentioned as the first of those 9 principles. It's huge. It's powerful. Vicki, let's give them some things to avoid, some of the pitfalls.
Right. Some of the words, vocabulary, words carry a lot of power.
Words matter.
They're huge. They're very powerful. So some words you might want to avoid are always and never.
Oh, anytime I hear those, not from you, of course, but anytime I hear the words always or never, especially when it starts with you,
you always,
you never, it can't be true. So there's a natural defensiveness that comes up.
Right.
And that starts to shut down the communication.
And this is going to take some practice, to change your own way of doing it. So I've noticed that often.
Okay, that's different.
That's a very, very different, because for 2 reasons. One, I put it back on my perspective of I've noticed versus you always.
Right.
There's some differences there.
And that leaves me a little wiggle room. I don't have to be all defensive about, that's not true.
Yeah.
When you say you always or you never, if you say it the way that you did just now, Vicki, it gives me some space. It's like, I don't have to fight with you. Yeah, you've noticed that. Okay. Right? Always, never. Why do you? Why did you? Usually when you say why, you're not asking a question. You're accusing. And really, what answer is going to satisfy you? I remember a couple I was working with, she's saying to him, "Why did you give your phone number to that young woman?" And he's like, "'Cause I'm an idiot."
That's
And what's he going to say?
There's no really good answer.
And there's no answer that would satisfy her.
Yeah, so she's not asking a question at all.
Right. And without getting into all the details there, I coached her to share instead what she was feeling, which she couldn't argue with. So the why questions, typically not helpful. You're the one who, I'm the one who, and then follow it with always or never. That's another trouble spot. That's another pitfall that you can get into because you're casting people in roles that you don't necessarily want them to be in. Basically, what we're talking about for pitfalls is anything accusatory or negative. Guaranteed to send you down the wrong path.
You know, we've just given you some pretty straightforward things to do or not to do.
Right.
Remember, the topic is to improve your marriage. So we're not telling you you have to do anything anyway.
Right.
But if you want to improve your marriage, you're probably going to have to change something that you're doing. And we're giving you some suggestions of that. And one that we just really can't leave without telling you is just lighten up. Have some fun.
If we're not having fun, we're doing something wrong.
Right.
Vicki, you shared something with me earlier in our marriage that has always stuck with me. You summarized it beautifully. You said, do more of what works.
And less of what doesn't.
Less of
Right.
what doesn't.
You know, when you got together, when you were dating, courting, whatever you want to talk about, you knew what the other person liked. They loved to go out to eat, so you guys went out to eat, or they loved to go for walks, so you went for a lot of walks. And for some reason, we get into patterns sometimes where we've given up doing some of the things we knew did work, and we're doing more of what we know doesn't because they really hate it when I pick my teeth, but I'm going to do that anyway, you know? So do more of what works and less of what doesn't.
Relationships are one of the tricky things that we get to deal with. It's also one of the most rewarding parts of our life. So grateful that you're here on the channel. Please share this video with someone that you think could really benefit from it. Let's help them lighten up as well. And if you haven't already subscribed, take a moment to do that before you leave.
Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.